This card cannot be targeted by spells, traps, and monster abilities. It cannot be destroyed by battle. It can still take battle damage, but as soon as it attacks a monster, it is destroyed at the end of the battle phase. So no matter what, it's destroyed. You still take battle damage, but it's not really that much bad. And as soon as you touch the skeleton,
Never fails to amuse me how easy mortal man is to manipulate.
so
You've assisted me in completing the very thing Amelion and his cabal sought to prevent all those years ago.
and so after you get dragon, what you want to do is you want to tribute dragon with captain. If you have Dark Ultimate's Dragon Knight in your hand. Dragon Knight basically just has 500 extra attack points and is very powerful.
Twice.
Dragon Knight's really awesome to have as your
Again.
and as soon as you look at the skeleton in my hand. I'll have two hands. So he has 2 hands. And here he is. You can take the book if you want, but if you don't want to, you don't have to. But the cool part about Dark Ultimate's Dragon Knight is that it's the same thing as Dragon, except for he actually has he cannot be like mind controlled or anything. So the control of that card cannot be switched. And what was it? Basically, a lot of stuff has changed since they first debuted it. Yeah, so Dragon Knight basically cannot be destroyed by battle and all that kind of stuff. He can only be summoned as long as you tributed at least one Dark Ultimate's Dragon, so that actually gets a lot of debuffs and all that. So last but not least is Dark Ultimate's Dragon Emperor. You have to tribute Dark Ultimate's Dragon Knight and any and all Dark Ultimate monsters. But you want to send all the ones into the graveyard because this guy is just unstoppable. This guy's basically all the Dark Ultimate monsters combined. Can't be destroyed by anything, basically. So it's pretty cool. So I'll tell you guys all the effects and which ones are mainly used. This deck has no like extra cards or anything, like no cards in the extra deck. It's just a deck that's just so powerful, it doesn't need it. It just goes, okay, here's my strategy, you lose. You want me to elaborate on that? You just lost. Why should I elaborate on that? So here's Dark Ultimate's Dragon Emperor's ability. But first I'm going to go to the attack points. The attack points are 7,000 attack points and 5,500 defense points. He's a level 12, so not should quiet it down a little bit. Yeah, there we go. So here's the funny part. He cannot be destroyed by battle, card effects. He cannot be affected by your opponent's card effects. And you take no damage involving this card, but even though he can go as higher than anything. But let's excuse that for the moment. And the best part about it is that he cannot be mind controlled. He takes one effect off of any Dark Ultimate monster in the graveyard and uses it against your opponent. So that's pretty cool. You can use Tricksters, you get 3 cards, because that's the only good use for it. And there you go.
Are you still?
Yeah, I'm gonna go talk to the other guy.
Sure.
This guy.
I told.
Oh, I don't have to talk to these guys. I have to talk to the lady. Yeah. So, and his last and final ability is that for every Dark Ultimate monster in your graveyard, it's like, for that number times 300, that's how many attack points they gain. So it's really cool. But if you put that entire strategy there, you'll get 2,100 attack points added to the 7,000. That's 9,100.
Well met.
That's like better than any other monster in the entire game. Wanna why? Because Dark Ultimate's Dragon Emperor. It's just that powerful.
Have you found me? Well, tell you. Be seeing you.
So you get to 9,100 right off the bat at the start. Now, if you did use Trickster's ability before, you can use it again after Dark Ultimate's Dragon Knight reaches the field, because he can take that effect. And none of his other effects are counteracted, so they can't be destroyed, or they can't be negated either. Because that is just
Finding
amazing for
Bru-
that.
I see.
But here is the last point that I'm actually gonna make. Dark Ultimate's Dragon Knight Dragon Emperor has 3 spell cards that'll still affect him because they can't be negated either. And Dark Ultimate's monsters is that only Dark Ultimate's cards can be equipped to Dark Ultimate's monsters without the negation actually activating. So that's pretty unique, in my opinion. So basically, you have his sword, you have his armor, you have his shield. First, I'm going to go with the only effect that Dragon Knight and Dragon Emperor actually share. They can change attributes and change their type. No other monster can do this, except for if you use DNA surgery and all that kind of stuff, right?
I'm looking for a...
So here's what's the cool part about it.
You've done well.
It's just so awesome that this is actually working. So good, to my opinion. Dragon Knight can change his... both of them can change their attribute to any attribute, even though all Dark Ultimate monsters are all dark attributes. So that's pretty interesting. They can only change their types to warrior or dragon. So it gets kind of bad there. Next is the all-time powerful, because Dark Ultimate Dragon Knight has the same thing, but they both have different effects. Dragon Knight's armor only increases his defense by 500, but can make him change into any attribute up to twice. So that means his first effect gives him once, then his armor can give him another chance, which is pretty cool. And Dragon Emperor only increases the defense by 1,000 and does the exact same thing as before, except for its defense is higher. In my opinion, that's actually really good. Now, first of all, it's really nice to have that.
Can I help you, brother?
But the second one is the sword. Now,
I've got another cup.
the sword for both of them
This
is
guild.
kind of different.
Oh,
I
your
guess.
carcass
I don't
to that
know.
settlement,
It's
meat.
kind of different. They both differ depending on the attribute and the type. They change it a couple times, so you can't actually know which one it is. But their effects are really long, so if you're I'm going to tell you the first ones, or the first top ones. If you change your character, or your monster, to a fire and dragon, he's able to attack twice in one turn. That's pretty cool, and his attack was increased by 2,000 for the sword, and the effect also increases the attack even further. But the attack twice is, I think it's like 500, so it's pretty nice. Pretty nice. Next up is the
I think. Hello.
what
I'm-
was it?
A great deal. Go. They. Are you?
I don't really know. Don't remember. So for this quest, though, I'm just gonna go off topic though. You can actually go to the Amelion tomb and grab her the armor and sword, or you can you can just pay her 1,000 gold, which is kind of worth it, because then you get a Nebby armor that's actually light, which is an interesting concept. And if we fail to get any of the other items, I'll just go to the testing hall. So let's just try and find it. I believe the gauntlets are around the beginning. Now the only armor piece of the equipment that I actually got, other than the sword and the armor, was the gauntlets. Which, in my opinion, all of these actually do look kind of cool. Back to Dark Ultimate Dragon Knight, though. I already talked about the armor. I think I talked about the sword, the attack twice. If you change it to Dragon Knight or Dragon Emperor to a wind and warrior, he'll be able to attack directly, but he'll gain 1,000 attack. So no matter what, you're gonna win. but he becomes vulnerable to cards that say, oh, if you're targeted for a direct attack, you can summon this card in defense mode and change the target. He will still be affected by those effects. Now, you kind of be thinking, oh, I thought that he would negate that attack. That effect. No, he can't. He can't negate those types of effects. But if it's like, where it's like, oh, after the attack, yes, he can negate those kind of attacks, or those kind of effects. But any others, no, he can't negate. So it's pretty cool. Or it's pretty bad, but what are you gonna do? Those are basically the top two that have been most likely used. The others are not really that much used. The last card is the shield. The shield basically just like once per turn you can negate an attack. Here's a gauntlets. I was talking about. He gets to negate once per turn. He gets to negate one attack, and there you go. That's basically it. That's it. That's it. That's all. There's nothing else special about it. And for the next archetype, because I just talked about the number one best one, the second one is Stargates. Stargates are usually very, very good. They cannot be destroyed by card effects or by what was it? Card effects and battle. And some of them, and these ones are basically high on synchros and exeses, not like Dark Ultimates monsters. Dark Ultimates monsters don't rely on them because they feel like they don't need them. Stargates rely on them just because they're decent at getting them out, because a lot of them are actually really good at getting out monsters, right? So that's pretty cool. The number one best card in my opinion is Stargate Librarian. Now, no, it's not because the card itself is hide or anything. No, that's not the reason why. The reason why is because of this effect only. When your opponent normal summons, or when you normal summon, you get to draw a card. Pretty cool. When you special summon, you get to draw 2 cards. Okay, that's pretty good. Gets better. If your opponent normal summons, now once per turn you usually want to normal summon a monster, right? Normal summons or sets or whatever. Your opponent has to discard 1 card. But when your opponent special summons, now if you remember that what if you use special summon, it's the same amount of cards, but opposite. You know how you get to draw 1? Your opponent has to discard 2. You guys can't tell me that's not freaking amazing. And actually, this deck I think has like 3 good cards though. One is just a normal monster, the other one is just a synchro monster. So I'm gonna go with the synchro, then I'm gonna go with the normal one. The synchro monster is known as Stargate Emperor, as you've seen from some videos. That Stargate Emperor is usually very bad. You don't really want to go against him too early in the game, because as soon as you see him too early in the game, you're like, I can't stop him. He cannot be destroyed by card effects or by battle. All damage will go to 0, and the controller of this card cannot be switched. Even if it's like mind control or anything, nope, cannot be switched. And the worst part about this card is that once he attacks, you get to deal piercing damage, which is terrible at the start because then you want to get your defense up. You can't really do that if somebody's going to deal piercing damage. They're like, crap. Well, I'm going to take some damage at the beginning. Take some damage. Darn it, now I'm like almost halfway done. Stargate Emperor, by the way, is the strongest monster in the deck at 5,000 attack points. So it's like 5-headed dragon and what. Also, as Dark Ultimates monsters are all dark, Stargates are all light. So you don't really have to worry too much about it. But Stargates are pretty tough, in my opinion. Emperor is usually their tough one that you don't really want to mess with. He's a level 10, level 10 synchro, so he's pretty hard to get out on the first turn, especially for Stargates though, but they usually get him on the second turn, because first turn they just set up their defensive play, can't do anything, you're like, crap, I can't do anything about it, I can't negate anything, and then they just go, oh, remember Stargate Emperor? Yeah, he's on the field. by the way, just good. Then you just then they just win. Because you know why? Because they just get their play way too quick and way too fast. But you can't do a thing about it. Nope. They just got their play too fast. I think I'm missing one. Yeah, I'm missing one. I think I'm missing degrees. I don't know where they would be. I'm gonna go look on the wiki while I'm gonna talk about others. Stuff about it. So, what is another thing that a lot of people usually want to use? Well, the last card in the thing, though, I'm sorry if I actually start rambling on about other stuff, what was it? Oh yeah. The last thing I want to talk about is Stargate King, which is basically just Emperor, just debuffed, and is just a normal monster instead of just the normal, you know, synchro fusion and all that. What was it? Oh yeah, I remember. What